Canva tricks for your next presentation so that when you present, your presentation will be interesting and attractive, and it will make it look more professional. Let's get started. This one is used for when you want to do information in a more interesting way. So I'm going to use the image Christ the Redeemer for this one. Well, why Christ the Redeemer? One, because Christ is Lord and I don't care, and two, because it's a famous landmark. But mainly because Christ is Lord. Now the first thing you want to do is make your image as big as possible and move it a bit to the right or any direction of your choice. Now duplicate it. Move it a bit to the left or again, any direction. Let me just make it a bit bigger. Bit to the left. Duplicate it. Now go a bit below. And finally duplicate your page one more time and put it right in the center. Now of course, if you want it to be perfect, you can always reduce the size of your image, which I'm doing currently right now. So once you've gotten your information, you want to click on each of the pieces of text. Go over to animate and click on rise. So just scroll down a bit to general and click on rise, and do it for every single one that you have. So then once you're done with that, go over and click present. Let me just go back to the first page. And then you finally have your animation with all the facts on it, and finally the last, Christ the Redeemer. So now we're going on to the second animation. So now we're going to have a second animation. This animation will be mainly used to introduce, like the beginning of a presentation, or it could be used for a website. I suggest it's more useful for a website, but in this case, using it for a presentation will make it far more interesting, because you can scroll through image smoothly and also make it look attractive. So, obviously, the first thing you want to do is get your 4 or 5 images, and the images have to be about one specific topic. So the topic I chose were flowers. So get each one of your images, and then we're going to size them into similar sizes. Let me just quickly do that. So once you've done that, we're going to add 2 circles at the top and the bottom. So click on C for circles as a shortcut and stretch them along the top of your canvas. Going to spread it all along there. Duplicate that. We're going to duplicate that and put it at the bottom this time. And that means you're going to have to make each one of your images bigger. Now you see the main reason for this once we've changed the color, because the reason we're going to make it bigger obviously is for a reason. And we're going to group all those images, just to let you know. Then we're going to, if you want to, you can make your circles bigger if you feel like they're not big enough. And just make it bigger. And then we're going to change the color to white. Now you can kind of see where we're going. And at the top, we're going to click on T for text, and then write whatever topic your images are about. So obviously mine are about flowers, the beauty of flowers. We're going to put them at the top circle, make them bigger obviously. I'm going to go to Canvas Sans, and you can choose any font you want. I would suggest using a handwriting font to make it look a bit fancier. But of course, it is your choice. Now we're going to duplicate, not the flowers, going to duplicate the page, the amount of times you have your images. So for example, I'm going to duplicate my image page 4 times because I have 4 images. And in between each transition, obviously we're going to use match and move, which is going to be the main animation of this video, to make the animation look smooth. So then once you're done with that, click on the first frame, then click on present. Then it looks like we have a scrolling. Oops, I forgot a step, dearly sorry. So click on your images and then scroll. Now you can see why we have circles. It's to make them look like they're on a bar. And when we scroll, we're moving them each time. And it looks like it's a circle as well, like they're moving around the circle. So now we can click on present, go back to the first page, click and look at that animation. It looks lovely, attractive, and very interesting as well. Now we're moving on to our third animation. This animation can also be used for the introduction of your presentation. And mostly when for example, maybe you're making a presentation about a famous person, because that's the topic we're going to use today. So go get your image. I have mine right here prepared, and it's going to be about Oprah Winfrey because she's my favorite person. So we're going to make the image as big as the screen. Just zoom that in a little bit. And we're going to put a bit to the side. You can still see the person, but just a little bit more to the side. Now we're going to go to text, and you have to search a specific font for this, but let's just name the person. So Opera, all caps if that's your choice. Opera, and then go over to Canvas Sans, aka where you get the fonts, and search 110. Scroll down because I'm too lazy to search the whole thing. Scroll down to the bottom and go to 110 black box. Now you can already see the reason for this is because it's transparent. Make it a bit bigger and write the last name of the person you're doing a presentation about, which is Winfrey. Wilfrey or Winfrey, I'm not that sure. Oprah Winfrey. So we're going to put it on top, exactly on top. There should be no like little line in between to make it look neat. And we're going to group those two. Now we're going to get a bunch of circles over here. So click on R for circle or rectangle. Then we're going to go to the top and stretch it to the edge of where the text is. Duplicate it. Do the same for the bottom. And then as you can see, we still do have some space here, which is obviously why we're going to duplicate it again and cover up those spaces. So I'll quickly do that. Done with that, it does look a bit plain, which is obviously why we're going to add some information as a button. And don't add all the information though, take it as a summary, so that when you start your presentation, it's basically a summary of what that person is going to be. So mine says, Oprah Winfrey is an America media exclusive talk host, actress, author, I do not know how to say that, widely regarded as one of the most influential women in the world. That's the person I'm making the presentation about. Yours could be Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, anyone. So then we're going to group all of this except for the image. So go to position, layers, and then group everything you've just created. Now we're going to duplicate the page. Perfect. And go back to page 1. Delete everything we have there. Don't worry, it's not going to go to waste. And put the person you're talking about directly in the middle. So then we're going to use match and move duration 1 second, like always, and then let's call it box for now. We're going to go to animate so that we can animate the box and wipe. So let's go over to present to see how it looks. So go to the first one, click, and the. So like I said, you can use it for the introduction of your presentation, and then you can go on what that person is in more descriptive detail. Now we're on our fourth one, and this one is going to be kind of tricky, but we're going to work through it step by step. Now for this one, we're going to use a video. So go over to Elements and search any famous landscape or person. For mine, I'm going to use the Colosseum, located in Rome, Italy, if you didn't know. So we're going to make that the biggest image there. Then we're going to get letters on how to spell the country it is, or one of the states. I'm not sure how to call it. So basically, since it's in Rome, Italy, not Italy or something, we're going to line up and spell Italy. Now we're going to get that image again and go back to your elements and put the first image in the first letter. Now double click on that letter and make it as big as the one in the background, and make sure it lines up with it. Now, obviously, we might make some mistakes and it might not be perfect, but at least make it line up with the building, because that's going to be the main thing. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up real quick and I'll be right back. Now we're going to do it again with the second one and the rest of the images, obviously. So if you forgot how to do it, you're going to put it inside the letter, double click so that I can zoom in, and then make sure it lines up with the background. So I'm just going to do that for all of the text. Okay, so once you're done with that, we're going to create a rectangle and cover it all over the image. Now, obviously, we're not going to block it. We're going to make it completely black and change the transparency a bit. Now we're going to double click. We're going to click on position, go over to layers, and make sure it's on top of the image, but not on top of the text. Now you can see the reason why we had to put the images. Now if we go over to present, we have this video, which looks like the text is lighting up the image in the background, which is the main thing we have to do. Now, it is completely fine if it's not lined up. It's not like everyone's going to be looking seamlessly like, oh, why isn't that lined up? And it's a bit of a flex as well, since you know how to do this. Now we're going on to our fifth and last animation, which is going to be as easy as ever. For our fifth and last animation presentation, or animation if you like to call it that, we're going to make the background completely black. Now we're going to go over to elements and then get a circle frame. Now I have mine in my elements because I've already used those before. And we're going to make it smaller. Now the size depends on how many images you want to put. So we're going to put it at the top of the canvas, duplicate it. Now unfortunately you cannot flip, I don't know why, so we're going to get it to 180. Now we're going to group those two, Ctrl G, and duplicate them, rotate slightly, duplicate them, rotate rotate slightly. Mine is glitching out, don't know why. And we're going to move it to our satisfaction. Now we're going to get a bunch of images, and personally I'm going to use landmarks because those are interesting. So I'm just going to put each and every image in all of the circles. Oops, my bad. And it doesn't really matter which one you put in, we're all going to make them rotate. So if this one's upside down, it's not really a big deal because we're going to make them rotate anyways. So now we're going to group each one of these, and then we're going to make them bigger until half and only half of the circles get on the screen. Now you can't let the other images peep in to make the audience know that there are going to be some other images coming up. But if you only want there to be half, it's fine. Now we're going to go over to text, go to subheading, and I'm going to name it famous landmarks because landmarks are cool things. You're historical and you're cool to look at. So we're going to choose our font, and I suggest getting 2 different fonts to make it look more interesting, but of course it is your choice on what you would like and not like to do. So famous landmarks around the world. The world. So that could be your presentation. And obviously, we're going to make all the images show one way or another. Oops, I'm just looking for my font. Okay, I've got my font now. We're going to group those 2 texts. Wait, let me just align them in the center. Going to group those. Control G. Make them bigger. And now this is how we make all the images show. So go over to animate. Go over to rotate. That's it. Now, obviously, if you have Canvas Pro, which I don't, you can change the speed, and I suggest making it slower so that the audience can analyze each and every image that you are going to be talking about in that presentation. So now we're going to go over to present so that you can present yourself what you've made. And as you can see, there's this rotating image with famous landmarks around the world in the center. Now, if you feel like it's too plain, I suggest that it's the text, so you can animate the text because you don't want it to be standing there watching. So now it has this rise animation and everything is showing. So those are the 5 presentation tips and tricks that you can use in your next presentation to make your presentation not look boring like a 5-year-old made it, but look professional so that your audience can know and make it look attractive so that your audience can be interested in the presentation. Just and easiest thing is that it's dead easy to make each one of these. So if you followed me along through each and every one of the animations, you can realize it only takes 2 or 3 steps, 4, 5 maybe, and then that's it. And you're short and straightforward as well. So if you want me to make more tips and tricks about certain things in design, don't forget to subscribe and like the video so that the algorithm will push my video up, please. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!